What up, you guys? Welcome back to Feral Publications YouTube channel, daily uploads until the comic book store opens. And today I want to talk about the fact that today is day 31 of consistently uploading. There's been a lot of wins in these first 30 days, and I'm really happy about a lot of it. And honestly, I know for the content creators out there, they probably would advise against the daily uploads. But I'm not a content creator. I'm a man on a mission to accomplish a certain task. And one thing I will say is that the daily uploads are something that I wholeheartedly see the benefit in it. I definitely have been working more adamantly and more regimented in what I've been up to because of the daily uploads. So with that being said, it's been 30 days, today's day 31 of consistently uploading, and I kind of like created a list of questions that I want to ask myself on camera to answer. I think there might be a benefit for folks if they're considering doing any of the above, right? The first question is like, why? Why do it? And the reality is a lot of times as a small startup or as a one-man band trying to accomplish a certain task, no one's there to hold you accountable, right? But if you make a commitment of a daily upload, right, and you don't follow through on that, in a lot of ways you already can tell that you're not, like, your commitment isn't real. You're falling off already. And that's one of those things of like, you have to have certain metrics to meet for yourself so that you can see whether or not you are committed to this project. And a lot of times when you're making a YouTube video, guess what? I don't think it would be a popular video if I just turned on the camera and sat here. Like, it would definitely not be entertaining. So the idea is that when you're doing that daily upload, you're probably working on something to move that needle forward. And it definitely has been that for me. And so I definitely see the benefit of it in that way. One of the main things that I do want to say is, like, I am not a content creator, right? Like, this is a means to an end. This is not the end in itself. So with that being said, the content that I'm making, I'm not very precious with it. I definitely don't want to put things out that like serve no purpose or give no value. Definitely not that, because through the channel I do want to build community, and I want to bring people who are like-minded, who want to see, you know, alternative media kind of grow, who wants different perspectives and different art styles to kind of like just really spread far and wide. Like, I want this to be a beacon for that, definitely, without a doubt. But beyond that, like, it's not, I have no set formula for the content that I'm making, and a lot of times it's from day to day what I come up with. And that's one of those things that, because I'm not pigeonholing myself and what I'm doing and what I'm making and what the channel is meant to be, I just have that commitment to daily show up and to do this thing. So I'm not really pigeonholed in the sense of like, I have to do a video about insert whatever YouTube niche there is, but rather I am someone who's actively trying to accomplish a goal. And there's many different aspects to that, right? I always say we try to oversimplify individuals, right? And we try to make it seem like they're just one or two intersections, when reality is like we're a multitude of different intersections, you know, intersection upon intersection on each other. And sometimes even those intersections, like, they definitely contradict each other, right? Like, I love alternative media, but I also like some of the mainstream comics, you know what I mean? I love, you know, underground subversive zines, but there's also mainstream books that I've read and I've loved, you know? And those are some of those walking contradictions that we are. I, unlike other channels, don't give a fuck about those contradictions. I embrace them. And not only that, I embrace all those multitude of intersections that we all find ourselves in. And so I'm not pigeonholed into any, like, this is what I have to make type shit. Honestly, these videos are run and gun. I, you know, live my life, and then I'm like, okay, I've time blocked to do 2.5 hours of Feral Publication shit, at the end of which I like make this video recap of whatever was the most interesting topic on top of my fucking mind. And that's the other thing. I don't think I would have been able to succeed at this had I not time blocked, right? Had I not really assessed how much time do I have to invest in this. One of the things that I will always say about people's time management is that they're real poor. I have a friend who was talking to me about how he wished he could go back to school and finish and so on and so forth, but he just doesn't have the time, he said. And me being an asshole, right? This is an asshole. I said, can you pull out your phone? And I want to see how much time you spend on Instagram. So my homie automatically goes, oh, he cringes. He's like, ah, shit. He's like, you got me. We look, homeboy spends like 2 hours on average a day on Instagram. And I'm like, all right, bro, that's a class right there. And I told them, you're getting off lucky, because if I wanted to, I'd ask you to see how much time you spend on TikTok. right? Like, we have more time than we give ourselves credit for. It's just we have been pulled into a world where like our attention is just so valuable, and so like we're bombarded with people telling you to look at them, and look at this, you know, you should want to be, you should think. And so there's so much information. There really is information overload. Someone like me, I definitely live more in my brain. My problem is probably that I read a lot more than I should. Having assessed my time honestly and really cutting it down to like the bare minimums of what I need to do what I want to do in life. And like I said, I like to scroll as well. I read hella comics on Instagram. There's a lot of comic book cartoonists that I follow on Instagram, and I love to see their art, their strips, and things of that nature, their process, and so on and so forth. And so, like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell people not to be on Instagram, not to be on TikTok. If that's how I felt, I wouldn't make videos for Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, right? I'd be like, don't make any of this shit and just read stuff that I make. But that's not the case. I definitely see the value in all the YouTube and Instagram and TikToks, right? But the reality is, like, there has to be space for other things, right? Like, going back to that first initial thing, if you're saying that that's a commitment that you have, your actions should reflect that. And if it doesn't, then you're probably not that into that idea or concept or project like you said you are. And that's the reality of it. And so I assess my time and I say, hey man, I need to block this time for this project because this shit means something to me. And I'm happy to see it again that 31 days later, 31 uploads later, like I have come through on that. And I'm amped to see that. The creative challenges now. So, you know, I once again created a list of like these things, topics, questions to ask about the 31 days of uploading. But like the reality is, like, I haven't really had any creative challenges because once again, the idea is that I'm working on Furrow Publication for 2.5 hours a day, and within that time, something will come up where it's an interesting topic, something I'll look into, so on and so forth, and that's what I follow through on. You know what I mean? And so that creative problem that I think, once again, that people who have a formula kind of fall into is something that I'm able to segue through because, you know, one day I might do a zine reading, one day I might do a zine review, one day I might show you how to make a zine, and one day I might talk about some business shit. Like, who knows? Like, I'll fuck around, pull out Wonder Woman comics tomorrow and talk about Wonder Woman. Like, this thing has no formula, and it's just me making, once again, that daily commitment to show up and do something to move that needle forward a little bit. Obviously, this is, again, to build community, to really spread the information far and wide, and overall, the metrics are in, and like, without a doubt, we're doing that, right? Our views are up, the watch hours up, subscriber base is growing, unique viewers is up. And that's not just on YouTube anymore, because as I've gotten better at the daily uploads, I started to include more and more different variations of like this content distribution strategy, right? And so like now we're getting more traction on TikTok and Instagram. And like that's what I'm talking about, of like, it's easier to stay in motion than it is to start and get into motion, right? So like now that I've started, it's going to be hard for me to stop that motion. And again, this is also fun for me. It's something that gives me a sense of empowerment and accomplishment and shows my commitment and into this thing that I really care about. Now, obviously, this is day 31, which is not a bad number by no means, but is it sustainable? Is this something I can do for the long run? And the reality is that I don't think so. I definitely plan to open up the comic book shop. And once I have a brick and mortar, like, I don't think I'll be doing daily uploads. Now, I don't think so, but it probably would be fun to show the day-to-day operations of a comic book store and the shit that I do to try to really push that forward. But once again, this initial run is to get to the comic book store. And once we get there, we can always reanalyze what the fuck is the next move. You know what I mean? So what's next? Obviously, as I've started to do the things that I'm doing for the channel, like, I've just started seeing more and more possibilities, right? I do feel like I need to bring it back and center myself on some of the concepts, right? Some of the key aspects of things that I was trying to do, I do need to come back to that, right? So currently I'm finishing up 4 of the zines that I've started that I just haven't finished. And I'm kind of set that goal now of like, daily I need to sit down and work on one of these zines for 30 minutes at the minimum. And a lot of times, the reason why I say at a minimum is because once I start, a lot of times it's hard to stop. You know what I mean? And so I try to do that last. On a day like today, though, I did that first, and I ended up spending hours on a zine. But it's the point of like, I'm building healthy habits through these daily uploads. And this is one of those things that if you really are passionate, if you really want to see your commitment to something, I would suggest doing daily uploads. Because if you are committed to that process, to that project, daily uploads shouldn't be a problem. You reading and trying to understand the market and trying to understand that business model and all that, you would assume that it's something that you are doing daily because you're passionate about it. And if you are passionate about it, doing a little quick video recap on whatever it is you did that day to push the needle forward on that project won't be a problem. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at, man. But yeah, 31 days, man. I was really wondering whether or not I was going to be able to accomplish the first month. And if I was, whether or not I would feel like it actually added a benefit to me and what I was trying to do. And I'm happy to say that yes, on both accounts. So thank you guys for everyone that's been showing up and watching, man. And that's another thing that I want to talk about, not pigeonholing myself with the videos that I make. Some videos I've done better than other videos, right? But that has never been what I focus on. It wasn't like, oh, that Joanne's video did so well, let me do 100 videos about Joanne. Like, that's not what I'm up to. You know what I mean? I just daily make what I would like to make. And again, it reflects what I've done in the day to move Feral Publication forward. So to the people that have continuously been watching these videos, I really do appreciate you guys, man. And I really do feel like we're building something great and something worth building and something that's going to be sustainable. And so let's keep it up, man. Again, Feral Publication, where Weird Calls Home. Link in the show notes for the shop. Beyond that, thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe. Lates.